Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to take a look back at the film Breaking Away from 1979. Back before Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and yes, even before DVD players, there was a thing called the video disc player. And that is how I first saw the movie Breaking Away. And for the record, watching a movie on a video disc wasn't the best experience. It was basically like a record player for movies. Halfway through the film, you'd have to flip the disc to the other side to continue watching until the end. And also, just like a record, the disc could get a scratch and have skips on it. But that was what we had available to us in our house in the early 80s. I loved this movie. It made me want to go out and start riding my bicycle to train for that bike race that I would never actually do. Written by Steve Tesich, who had immigrated to America from Yugoslavia at the age of 14. Breaking Away tells the story of four friends who have just graduated from high school and are trying to figure out where to go from there. They live in the college town of Bloomington, Indiana, but none of them are sure they're going to go to college. And to make matters worse, there's an elitist attitude from the college kids in town, most of whom are from out of state, and who have an overall perception that they are just better than the town kids, who they call cutters, a name handed down to them because of the jobs many of their parents had working at the local limestone quarry. The main character is Dave Stoller, played by Dennis Christopher. He's obsessed with the Italian bicycle race team, and deep down, he kinda wishes he was Italian. He even walks around talking with an Italian accent, which drives everyone crazy. One of the aspects of this movie that I love the most are the interactions between Dave and his father, played by Paul Dooley. These interactions are at times hilarious, while at other times they take a more serious nature as his father is truly worried about his son's future. As a side note, it's said that another actor considered for the role of Dave Stoller was Robbie Benson. Personally, I can't imagine anyone other than Dennis Christopher in this role. The supporting cast is great. It's got Dennis Quaid in one of his earliest roles. Jackie Earle Haley, who was probably the most famous of the actors at the time due to his success in the Bad News Bears movies. And the on-screen debut of Daniel Stern. All of these actors have had continued success in film and or television to this day. In fact, every December when my family breaks out the Christmas movies, and in particular Home Alone, I can't help but remember the first time I saw Daniel Stern in a movie was Breaking Away. The film ends with Dave and his buddies competing against the college kids in a race called the Little 500, with Dave completing nearly all of the laps of the race on his own. Ultimately, the Cutters win the race. This movie is one of the most heartwarming and genuine movies you will ever see. The lessons learned by the characters throughout the show are lessons that we all have to learn eventually. Film critic Roger Ebert described this movie by saying, "It's a wonderfully funny, goofy, intelligent movie that makes you feel about as good as any movie in a long time. It is, in fact, a treasure. Movies like this are hardly ever made at all. When they're made this well, they're precious cinematic miracles." Roger, I couldn't agree more. The film was directed by Peter Yates, who was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Director. The film would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay by Steve Tesich, who would later go on to write another film about bicycle racing, American Flyers, which was released in 1985 and stars Kevin Costner. One last thing worth mentioning. After the success of the film, someone, somewhere, thought it would be a good idea to continue the story through a television show. It starred Sean Cassidy as Dave Stoller. Barbara Barry returned to her role that she had in the movie, as did Jackie Earle Haley. Unfortunately, the timing of the show may have hurt its chances of success. It was scheduled to debut in the fall of 1980, which happened to coincide with the Writers Guild going on strike. Ultimately, the show was canceled after just 8 episodes. I think it would have been really interesting to see how it could have done under different circumstances. Here's the Cutters together again in 2016. Daniel Stern posted this picture to his Twitter feed. It's cool to see these guys all together at this age. I love this movie. What are your memories of Breaking Away? Do you remember the TV show? I would love to read your comments and thoughts about the film. Also, if you haven't yet done so, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel. I mostly make videos where I talk about music, TV, and movies from the 70s and 80s. Thank you so much and have a great day.